Welcome back everyone. Today I am officially pushing my luck. I'm going to make a pub bike out of this. Pub bike, rat bike, depends where you are in the world. Something to ride to the pub on basically. You don't care if it gets stolen, costs next to nothing. Who's going to nick this? Come on, let's be honest. Absolutely nothing. There's not wrong with this bike at the moment, so we're going to put it back together, make it roll again. 40 years old. Let's see if we can save the old girl and go for a pint. Let's go. Right, so first things first, can I even move the seat post? Look at that. To be fair, I've already tried that one. I haven't tried the handlebar stem yet though. Right, let's just get this up a little bit so we can get it in the stand, and then we can have a look at this old beast. Oh my god, what have I done? Up she goes. So I paid £15 for this. That's probably £14.99 too much, but let's see what we can do with it. I don't want to spend much more than 30 quid getting it back on the road. So we're about £50 all in. The trade prices, but you can probably shop around and do it something the same. I mean, I'm not going to say what's wrong with it because literally everything's wrong with it. I'm going to put some new tyres on it, all new cables. I'm not going to touch any of the rust, patina, anything like that. I'm absolutely not going anywhere near that. So the marks on the frame, that's staying where it is. These rusty old steel rims, they're staying as they are. You know, the braking's going to be diabolical. Steel rims are just terrible, and they weigh a ton as well. But I'm certainly not spending anything on there. Looks like we might need some rim tape, and like I say, we're going to change these tyres. There's actually plenty of tread on these, but the sidewalls are so perished, I think they'd be a bit sketchy to say the least. So what we're going to do first, take off all the stuff we don't need, then rebuild. Alright, chain is, yeah, there's no way that's coming off. Chain's off. I am a highly trained angle grinder. Alright, let's get this wheel out. I'm going to take these pathetic brackets off as well because I hate the things. I'm not going to take much taking off either. Shall we grind this off? No, let's use the spanner. Let's do it properly, come on. Safety first. Look at this, how old is cobweb do you reckon? As far as I can work out, this is a 1984 model. If anybody knows better, please let me know. It does appear to have some separate Suntour parts that are from 89, so I'm guessing they've been upgraded over the years at some point. Quite nice actually. But I think it's an 84. I think this bit of tape has been on since 1984 as well. Wow. I don't know what that is, but it's good stuff. I think coming off. I'll cut that off in a minute. Let's get this wheel out. I think the derailleur might have some issues, but all bike's got issues. 15mm spanner. This thing here is fantastic. It's a US Pro. It's a long spanner, and it gives you really nice leverage. This is my go-to wheel spanner for nutted wheels. Closed end, nice and long, brilliant. What you beast! I ain't been out for a while. Bugger, that's tight. Well, that's turning in the frame. So what we're going to do there, we're going to tighten this one back up and then loosen that one off. Wow, that's tight. Let's take these canties off first before we forget. Cutting that. A straddle cable. I've got new straddles somewhere. Let's see if we can get this undone. I think this will be the first of many challenges. So a lot of people have already probably turned off because they don't want to watch this rubbish. But you know, I think equally as many people will stay tuned because they like this kind of thing. So yeah, it's a bit of fun. Oh, it can't all be SL7s and full suspension mountain bikes. We've got to do the rough as well. I can't get this one out now. That one's just spinning. Joy. First issue, can't get the wheel out. Nope. Lubrication, name of the game. What I need to try and do is get a 17mm spanner in there. I'll probably have to use a cone spanner. There's not much room down here. Let's get a cone spanner on there. That's not even a 17, is it? Let's try a 15. Third time lucky. 16mm, look at that, perfect. Let's see if we can undo this. Yeah. You won't get a normal spanner in there because there's just no room at all, but a cone spanner, obviously being nice and thin, it'll come out. Well, I didn't expect it to take 5 minutes to take the back wheel off, I'm not gonna lie. Here we go, we're off. Let's get this tyre off and put some rim tape on here. Oh my god, it's so bad. Should probably try the front wheel while I'm here. This has got lawyer tabs on it, so I don't know when they came out. I thought they were much later. It's got them on. It's got a 14mm on this one, not 15. Well, these brake pads are staying as they are. They look pretty much brand new, to be fair. And anything on a steel wheel is going to be just a complete waste of time anyway. So these are as good as they're going to get. We'll clean them up a bit and just probably run a bit of sandpaper over there just to freshen them up. Lubricate the pivots. Actually, they're moving quite nicely. Nothing wrong with this bike. It's fine. This is a steel, non-cotted chain set. This must weigh a ton. But hey, bottom bracket is good. We're not going near that either. That's staying where it is. 40 years worth of fluff stuck down there. Chances of getting this out, because this is just a piece of plastic here, so trying to get that out is just going to smash, and then we'll lose the authenticity of the bike. I mean, it's classic, so we don't want to do that. Right, let's get this front derailleur cable off. When you get a ratchet spanner, you always put it on the wrong way first. It's not you, it's everybody. These are Facom ratchet spanners, very, very nice. They've got a flex head on it as well, so you can get to any angle you want. I don't recommend buying cycle specific ratchet spanners, it's a total waste of money. They're a well-known automotive brand, sort of Facom, fantastic tools. Right, red derailleur. It's a Suntour AccuShift Alpha 1500. When did they come out? 80s, that's quite tight as well. So I'm sure the bike is 84, but this is 88, 89 as far as I can work out. So potentially someone's upgraded. When I say upgraded, it's not much of an upgrade, but someone's changed it over the years. There is some damage to this cage here, unless it's just a pile of crud. Yeah, I think it's crud. So, but we're certainly not touching that again. As long as I can get it to shift, it's staying where it is. The name of the game on this is spend as little as possible, get it to work. All we're interested in is gears working, brakes working, safe tyres, and the steering is not going to fall off. Now get you to the pub and back. Right, I'm going to take this off and clean it. I'm not sure if pub bike is just a UK terminology. I believe other people call them rat bikes, things like that. But yeah, the idea is basically it's something cheap as you can that you don't mind. Right into the pub, and if someone actually nicks it, then it's not the end of the world. What size is this? I found the only derailleur in the world that's not a 5mm bolt, so what size is that? It's a 6mm, as you do. Yeah, 6mm holds your rear mech. Oh, it wasn't even tight. Finger tight. So yeah, as I was saying, pub bikes, I don't know if it's a UK thing or not, but yeah, the idea is you ride it to the pub. If you lose it, you forget it's there, someone steals it, you're not going to lose sleep over it. It's cost you virtually nothing. So you see loads of these things around, so. Right, there we go. One of the rear derailleur, Suntour AccuShift Alpha 1500. But look at this, I mean, look at the attention to detail. Even back then, there's a lovely nailed metal barrel adjuster. The quality went so far downhill. Right, I'm going to, Jesus, I'm not sure I'm going to get that out. I don't think that's coming out. It's going to have to go in the ultrasonic as it is. I'm not even sure what that used to look like. Wow. Teeth? Who needs teeth? It'll be fine, trust me. Should we take its little brother off as well? Front derailleur Sacheret, hooray. Never been able to pronounce that one, but it's actually moving really nicely, feels really tight, there's no play in the linkages. Years left in this one yet. I don't think this is going to be savable. You can just about fit a pint glass in there. Look at that, it's fine. I think this has got to go. Sorry. Bolts still move. I mean, look at this. Brilliant, 40 years old. Should I put the rusty bolts back in for more added effect? Or should I put some shiny ones in? Oh my god, decisions on this bike. I think I'm going to treat it to a new saddle as well, because it's really letting the look of the bike down, because it's in such good condition apart from that joke. The saddle's definitely seen better days. It's got big bits hanging off the back of it. I think we're going to go with these rusty ones. We'll put some grease on them though. I can just hear people in the comments going, what the hell is this? Why are you doing that? Total waste of time. But I don't care, honestly. It's just a bit of fun. Come on, chill out, guys. In the world we live in today, we need a bit of fun, so let's get this thing on the road. Go for a pint. That's what it's all about. Look at that. You'd never know. On a serious note though, for such a little price, there's no harm in messing around. If you break something, you break something. But you're going to learn stuff at the same time as well. So you can. It's the same technology at the end of the day, same crank puller, same, well, not the same bottom bracket, but the same ideas. You know, so you will learn if you're just playing with something like this. It's safe to say the headset's a bit loose. We are going to have a look at that, because we've got to be able to steer it safely. So first of all, we've got to get this stem out, which could be interesting. So I'm just going to take this straddle cable out while I'm down this end. Bit tight, it's off. Right, so one of my videos I did a Topanga, and it's been so long since I worked with cantilevers. I took this reflector bracket off, so people called me out in the comments, quite rightfully so, because it's actually there not just as a reflector, but it's there for a safety device for straddle cable. So should your brake cable ever snap from the lever, if you don't have this reflector cable, if you don't have this reflector, basically this cable will ram down into your tyre there and throw you over the handlebar. So thank you very much for the people who reminded me of that. Should know better, I've been doing this long enough. I forgot. So yeah, leave that on. Don't take that bracket off. I think we'll make a little bit of effort and just take these off and put some grease on the pivots. Take the back ones off while we're here. Again, these pads are in pretty good shape. Just noticed it's actually got a chain hook here. Never had one of them before. Very nice. So the rear reflector, if that snaps, then the worst that's going to happen is going to lock your back wheel up and you can do a massive skid. But if the front one snaps, then yeah, you got issues. So don't take it off. I'm just going to take this hideous light bracket off as well. I'm just going to drop it out in the stand for a second while I take this quick release off to do that. Get back. Oh, it's getting light now. I can start getting some of these cables, aren't there? It could be interesting. One's okay. It's actually not too bad. It's coming out. Just going to cut this at the lever so I can pull this outer housing through like that. Don't know if that's the original, but it's been there a while, that's for sure. Gear cables stuck on the bottom bracket. Take that out. Take the front one out. I've actually got index shifters, and this is one thing I do actually like about this bike a lot. This Suntour shifter, it's an old Aki shifter one. They have such a nice action. Some of the best shifters, thumb shifters they've ever made. Again, it's only a low end one, but it's such a nice shifter. I'm going to take this off and clean it properly. You'll notice there's a barrel adjuster missing on this brake lever. I've got quite a few of those. So yeah, this shifter it is indexed. Such a nice shifter, honestly. So nice, and it's also got friction on it as well. So on the older shifters, you used to be able to turn this to friction. If I can get it to move, probably not without breaking it. But there's a lever here, you can go between indexing and friction. And the idea there was if you sort of bent your rear derailleur in the middle of nowhere, you can flick this to friction and it won't click then basically, it'll just go through like an old-fashioned lever and you can still select gears at the back. This seems to be a bit seized up. I'll see if I can work it loose when I cleaned it. Front one is exactly the same but not indexed, but still got a very nice action. Look at that. Right, next up I'm going to try and get this handlebar stem out. This could be interesting. You never know, it might have been perfectly well maintained for many years and it comes straight out. Or not. Alright, wait. So with this, normally all you would do is put a socket in there, give it a good whack, and that just frees up the expander wedge down in the fork. Like that. That moved. Hopefully. Oh yes. Perfect. So this is the old-fashioned way of doing forks basically. You tighten the 6mm bolt and it just clamps this wedge inside the fork, and that's what stops it moving. So yeah, they've gone away now. Obviously everything's threadless and your star knot that goes in the fork, etc. But this is the old-fashioned threaded one. So yeah, there's a lot of play in this headset here. I don't know what size this is going to be. This could be some weird French stuff. This part tool spanner here, I'm not going to lie, I put an eBay search on for over a year for one of these to come up, HW2, because they don't make them anymore, and it's such a nice spanner. Look at that. Look how well it fits these nuts. Absolutely brilliant. So you can get one of them. If you still work on a lot of old headsets, then see if you can get yourself one of them, because they're awesome when they fit. Quite a lot of times it's just something just a slightly stupid size and it don't fit, but oh dear. Right, so this is how you take the headset out basically. We'll take this out and we'll put some grease in there. I might put some new balls in there as well. We could splash out £1. There's nothing wrong with them, they're fine. Look at that, they're actually in pretty good, not in pretty good condition. The bottom ones just fell out completely. You need some new balls. That one's okay, we need a new one for the bottom one there. We'll change them both. So on the bottom one, someone's put them in loose instead of a cage. That's why they're all falling out. You can do that. It's actually better. Technically it's better because you can get more balls in there than with a cage, so you're spreading the load. So what you would do, I'm not going to do it on this one, but what you would do is basically put all the balls in. You need many of them. Obviously leave just enough room. And then put the grease in. And that still works because you get a lot more balls in there to spread the load rather than the cage one where you've got a big space between each ball. Either will work. This is just the only reason they do this is at the factory that's fitted. You can see that takes no time at all. Whereas if you have to do it with individual ball bearings, obviously the cost is high because there's more balls, and it takes considerably longer than to put them all in there. So that's really the only reason they're in cages, is the speed of assembly. So I've got some of these anyway, so we'll just chuck these in. Clean it up first, but it'll be fine. As long as it can go around a corner, that's all we're asking of this one. We're not bouncing down the side of a mountain. I thought I had some, but I don't in that size, so what we're going to do is measure these balls that came out. Use this ruler. This is a spoke ruler, but it comes with holes for bearing sizes. It just confirms what size you need. So these are 5/32 bearings. So I'm going to replicate what they did in there. Basically clean that out, put some grease in it, pack it full of these, and we'll be good to go. So let's do that. And on the top, I think I'll put that cage one back in because it's fine. Yeah, so that's the lower race now. So we're just going to clean this off. It's just all crusty old grease. Get some fresh grease in there and fill it with ball bearings. Again, this is ZEP if anybody's wondering. Okay, that's good enough. I'm going to get some grease in here now. XHP 222, Keat Cortania, best grease ever. Although, saying that, I've just done my grease video, and there's another Enduro grease that came with this. I've not tried it yet, It looks really cool. I should have used it in here, shouldn't I? And then I could have tried it. But yeah, I might get some of that. Like 5 30-second balls. What you need to do, put them in, but you need to leave a little bit of space just so they can move around. Don't try and wedge every single last one in. This was what was in here when I took it apart. There's just no grease left to hold it together. Alright, there we go, perfect. Also, you do need a tiny bit of space here. You won't get another ball in there. There'll be too many, so just leave it like that. We've got more balls on the floor than I have in the headset, I think. I'll put a little bit more grease in here just to hold it all together while we're messing around before we get the fork in. Alright, that'll keep it all together until we get the fork drop back in. Look at that, that looks absolutely as good as new. Better than new, to be fair, because it wouldn't come with loose bearings, it'd come with cage bearings. The mistake I made there is I can't now put degreaser in this one. It's just going to pour down to the other end. It's fine, I'll just do it the hard way. Literally as good as new. Perfect condition. Well, I'm tempted to put loose balls in here even though I've got this caged one, but then I can try that other grease. I think that's what I'll do. So this is Enduro grease, but it's actually Almagard 5, what is it, 3752 apparently. It's quite a nice grease this is. I think I might grab a tube of this as well to give it a bit more of a long-term test, along with the Mobile XHP. Quite nice. Quite sticky, which is always good. Holds bearings in places while you're working, or just throwing them on the floor like that. Oh my god. This is why they use cages, because imagine doing this in a factory where they're pumping out hundreds of these a day. It's just not going to work. They have their place, but if you can get loose balls in, then do it. Obviously most bikes nowadays are sealed cartridges, so you can't do anything like this, but good. So you do need a tiny bit of space so they can move around, but don't try and ram an extra one in there because it won't work basically. So I've cleaned up the crown race, put some extra grease on there. Now you've got to be just really, really careful putting this in that you don't knock the bearings out, that's the thing. That's in there. It's sitting in the cup perfectly. And get a bit of grease on this thread to make it a bit easier to get on. People ask why I change greases, just because it's literally on the brush and it's just easy to apply like this. No real other reason. You could use the red one just as well there. Or the blue one, or the yellow one. Just get some grease in there. Alright, a bit of grease down here doesn't do any harm at all, because that expander has a big habit of getting wedged solid. Not like it's ever coming out again, but hey, let's get it right. Put these bits back in. There should be a washer first. There's a little slot down here where there's a matching tab in there. That goes on there. There's a brake cable hanger. There's actually one in the stem, so I don't really need this one. I'm tempted to use that one rather than this because it's got a barrel adjuster that's missing as well. So, actually, I'll leave it in because we're going to be a bit short on threads otherwise. Or are we? Let me try it without this first. Because you can bottom out. There's a lip on the inside of this nut, and you can bottom out on the top of the fork before it's tight. Otherwise, we've still got plenty of threads. So I'm going to leave this off. We'll use this one instead in the stem. It does exactly the same job. With these, there's no real way of holding it on. More expensive headset, this will be a hex nut as well. But this one here should just lock it down. Because that locking tab in there, it should stop it spinning anyway. So it's a lot easier when the wheel's in to get tight. Okay. Did you see that? I just over tightened it a quarter of a turn and now it's going a bit crunchy. So no good. So what you need to do there is just back this out a quarter of a turn to accommodate for when you tighten this up, basically. It's a bit of trial and error on this one, but unless you've got a wrench. I mean, you could use sort of mole grips or Nipex pliers, but it's not ideal. That's a tiny bit of play in there, so I expect now when I tighten this up, it'll lock this down a bit more. Still a tiny bit of play. It's going to be a lot easier when the bars are in and the wheel's in, so we'll come back to that later. I'm just going to try not to clean it too much, which is a bit weird for me, but we are trying to keep it looking rubbish, which it is, but hey, going to get the grease off at least. Yeah, if I start cleaning this, it's going to be, yeah, a very slippery slope. So I'm going to get this stem back in now. So I'm going to put some grease on this. These guys, honestly, they're one of the worst components to be seized. It's an old-fashioned quill stem like this. Terrible. Not so much the thread that seizes, but this steel part here seizes solid to the inside of the steerer, just with rust. Right, let's get this back in. It was a little bit on the high side as well before. It was kind of up here, if you remember, which there is a maximum line on here. I've just covered it in grease, but you'll see a line. So normally it's like a load of little dashes. Let me see if I can mark it off. Normally there's a line on here that says minimum insertion. I can't really see one clearly marked on here. I mean, it's obviously covered in grease, but you'll normally see a line very clearly marked. Minimum insertion, which means obviously you must go to at least that line and have that much in, so you can't ride around like this obviously. There's nothing clearly marked on this one, so I'm going to leave it. It looks better like that. It was kind of like that when it came in, but I think I'll drop it right down for now. Again, we can adjust that, but the reason you can't adjust that then, once you set the brakes, is because if you raise that, you're basically adjusting the brakes at the same time. So that's why you would use that separate one if you ever wanted to move this up and down willy-nilly sort of thing. But I don't plan on moving it. Don't be afraid to go tight on these. I'm not going to break anything. It's industrial strength. Right, there we go. That ain't going anywhere. Lovely headset now, look at that. I'm just going to try and clean this shifter up a bit. I don't really want to start taking these grips off because they're just going to disintegrate. And you can't get this off without seriously bending it, so I'm just going to try and clean it up in situ best I can. Again, just a bit of Zep on here. A lot of Zep on here. I'm hoping it'll clean up. Nylon brush. 40 years worth of grime on here. So, I don't know if you've read the story about the sort of demise of Suntour, but very, very interesting. I think I watched a video or read a story, I can't remember, but they're very interesting. They basically got a bit behind the times, tried to play catch up, didn't work, and then it all went pear-shaped. And then they sold the name Suntour, which is now SR Suntour, which you'll see on the forks, but the actual components wise, Suntour themselves, I believe, I'm led to believe, that when they sort of exchange contracts sort of thing, then they basically crushed or destroyed all of the equipment and all the moulding, etc. for all these older parts, so it doesn't exist anymore. So SR Suntour is the name that continues, but the actual company, AccuShift, Suntour, all that stuff, it's all gone. And like I say, I believe they crushed and destroyed every single piece of equipment that was used to make these parts. Quite sad really, but can't remember what the story was behind it, but if you read it, it's very interesting, and I think there's a bit of resentment somewhere along the line, which is why it ended up all basically in the bin. Oh, that's actually cleaned up quite nicely. Very nice action on these. Really nice. This is plastic. I mean, to get this friction thing working, I think really I need to sort of loosen this off, but I'm just a bit resistant because I think that's just going to break, but I'll try gently. Again, Nipex parallel pliers would be a tool of choice for this really. Oh, that's come off quite nicely. I'm not going to take it all apart because shifters are horrible. Yeah, that's what should be moving there. That clicks in and out now. So that's index. And then my thumb's really struggling, sorry. Back it off a bit and swap it to friction. Tighten that up, I guess. And that puts it on friction, so there's no index clicks there. Like I say, if you bend your rear derailleur in the middle of nowhere when you're mountain biking on this high quality mountain bike, then you can flip it into friction and get you home. You can just basically guess a gear with this lever. Again, you don't get that these days. It's actually cleaned up really nicely. Good. Right, I'm going to find a barrel adjuster for this brake lever because that's obviously missing. There's a box of bits in here, loads of barrel adjusters, so look for something. You're not going to get exactly the same obviously, but you can get a matching pair, that'd be nice. I think that'll thread in, so I'll fit 2 of these. Adds to the cost maybe, but these are, I don't know, £1 off that tops. Right, we'll get these in. Most of these are used, but they're all of some weird size I've never fitted anything to yet. Hopefully that fits in here. I think the thumb shifter's a bit in the way, but there we go. Yep, that's going nicely. Good. Okay, we'll leave that like that until we get a cable in it. Put this new one back in this side. Absolutely massive brake lever, it's almost like motorbike size. Oh, let's clean this shifter as well, I forgot that. No indexing on this front shifter at all, it's literally just a complete friction control. So tyre wise, I'm not going to put brand new. This is a pair of very lightly used second-hand tyres, 26 inch. They've even got any tubes in them, so I'm just going to bang these in. They're not quite identical, but they're near enough for the purposes of this. So fortunately I've got a massive stash of used, semi-used tyres, so it's not going to cost me anything, but I think most people have got a pair of second-hand tyres kicking around that you can put on for this. But the important thing is the sidewall's in really good condition here. When you take these off, I'll show you how bad these old ones get. Ideally you want to put amber wall tyres on a bike of this era, but they're very, very expensive, and yeah, it's just simply not worth it. You're going to spend £50–60 on 2 tyres on a £10–15 bike. It's just crazy. Doesn't make sense. Right, so let's get these on and then we can get the wheels back in. Yeah, so the tyres are off. This is the real basic steel rim things. Oh my god, so heavy, so rubbish, but we know that. So this is the rim tape that's literally just fell off, so it's literally in pieces here, so obviously we can't reuse this stuff. So So I'm going to use Gorilla Tape, duct tape, whatever you want to call it. Really good stuff. You can actually use this for tubeless rims. It does a really good job, but if you ever need to get it off again, it's a bit, yeah, it's a slightly challenging. But for this purpose of this job again, it's going to be spot on. Let's get this stuff on. This crazy little dork disc, oh, big dork disc. It's got a metal backing to it and the plastic still in one piece. But as soon as you start cleaning that, it just disintegrates. We're not cleaning anything, remember? Added patina. So yeah, the idea of this bike really is to make it look absolutely awful, but actually make it function pretty well. And that's what we're going for. So bearings are all good on this. I think this axle's slightly bent, more than slightly bent. We'll see how that works. 6-speed freewheel, still freewheeling. Alright, let's just take this up and get a tyre on it. Okay, I've actually found the matching rear tyre, so we've got a matching pair now. This is actually in a bit better condition as well. There's a few splits on the other one. This one's good. Just before I do put these back on the bike, just a quick shout out to one of my viewers. Sent me a lovely email last night, Trevor. Hope you're doing okay, mate. I hope the videos are helping you, so take care of yourself. All right, let's crack on with these. Just gonna put these brakes back on, get some grease on these first of all. So just drop the spring on here first, and the cantilever, and just bolt that in. Very simple, these brakes are. Just a 10mm. And this big spring hooks around there like that. Gives you your tension. Good. Right, I'll just get the rest of these on. Well, this pad's seen better days, but I think for its maiden voyage to the pub and back, I think it'll be okay. I'll just use the back brake, don't worry. Could have made it a single speed as well, I guess. I guess that's what a lot of people are thinking. Why make it a single speed? I mean, you could do, but maybe one day I'll do one like that. The straddle cable's actually damaged, so we're going to replace this cable here next. Get the back one bolted on first though. Again, bit of grease on the posts first. Just slide them on. Makes you wonder if they've even thought about hydraulic brakes the time this bike was made. 40 years ago. Progress, I guess. Some would say not. So if you got this far in the video and you've not just turned off in complete disgust about making this terrible bike, then if you've not already hit the subscribe button, then please consider doing so, because it really does help the channel. I think at time of filming I'm coming up to 7,000 subscribers, so I've no idea when this is going to drop, probably another 3 or 4 weeks away, so I'm trying to hit 10,000. It was going to be by the year end, but it looks like it's coming up much faster than that, which is great. But yeah, if you've not already done so, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. The ratchet I was using is a Facom, very nice tools. Just throw this front wheel in. Directional tyre, don't forget, it's going to make all the difference on this. Make sure you get little safety tabs fitted, lawyer tabs as they call them. Stops your wheel, well it doesn't stop your wheel falling out, but if the wheel nut comes loose, potentially this is going to give you a little bit of insurance before it falls out altogether. That's the idea. Most people take them straight off, I think. Keep them on. Safety first. Right, that's that on. Get back wheeling. Right, get this beast in. It's got a cobweb in the freewheel. Just nip this up with your massive spanner. Do highly recommend this. If you're using 15mm nutted spanners a lot, I'd highly recommend one of these. They're really nice. I've just got my glove stuck. Right, so what I'm going to do now is going to pull this wheel over to get it level, because it's, I think, like I say, this axle is slightly bent, so it struggles a bit. I'm not spending any more money than I could possibly help on this. Because I'm using used tyres, I think we can get this in for probably £10 in parts, £15 on the bike, so £25. Not bad. Alright, that's on. That still works. Good. Okay, let's just throw a gear cable in this one. Again, I'm using a galvanised cable on here. I don't normally use them, but they are cheaper, so as we are trying to be cost effective as possible. And it'll probably do about 2 miles in its life. Getting a galvanised cable. Poke this out the other end, like that. Super easy. Drop this lever back down to 6th position. One minor issue we've got is the gear end caps, basically. Don't fit in these braze-ons into the frame. They're too wide. These plastic ones don't fit in there. I've got 3 or 4 different types of these metal ones, plastic ones, thick ones, thin ones. None of them fit in here. And looking at the cables that came off, they didn't really have any, so it's not ideal, but we're just going to put the gear cable straight into the frame. It's far from ideal. Don't do that on your own bike, but on this sort of thing, I've got nothing literally that's going to fit, and there's nothing on the old cables I can even borrow, so I'm going to have to go like that, unfortunately. It's not ideal. So we'll just thread this through here, underneath the bottom bracket. plastic cable guide here. That'll go through there. Just locate that into the frame then, best we can. It's far from ideal, but nothing else I can do without trying to order some special ones that take a year to get here and 3 times the price of the bike. Not happening. What we do need is a derailleur. Let's get that on. So I did run it through the ultrasonic, came up a bit better, but blew it through the airline. This bolt normally got a clip on here on the newer derailleurs. This thing just pushes through. There's no spring in there either, so it's unusual. So I put some grease on there and just bolt this on. Good. So this AccuShift 1500 is probably the equivalent of today's Alivio or Altus or even stuff like that, but far better quality. Obviously, still aluminium cast. Nice steel plates, nice, really nice barrel adjuster on it. Get that screwed all the way in first because we're going to need it. Back it out a fraction. There's knuckles plastic, but this is the basic, very basic derailleur from back in the day. Let's see how it goes. So the ferrules will fit in the derailleur and the gear lever, so I am using them there where I can, but like I say, in the frame, even this one here, it won't fit. It's a bit annoying. But if that's the only problem we have for the whole build, then we're doing alright. Through the derailleur. Put a chain on next, obviously. Good. Just pull that nice and tight, make sure your gear lever is in 6th position. Only 6 sprockets on this, not 11. Just click your gear lever 1 position. It's moving. Okay, so with the barrel adjuster we should be able to get that to shift up nicely. Let's connect the front one. Right, this one we've got no barrel adjusters. So we're going to pull this one pretty tight as it is. I'm really pulling that, you can see I'm pulling the bike over basically. Get some good tension on that because there's no barrel adjusters this end or the other end. If you're really desperate about it, you could put an inline adjuster. It's the wrong tool for that, isn't it? Just nip it up. I'll say if you really needed one, you could put an inline adjuster in the housing at the lever. I don't think that's going to be necessary. It's just spun around there slightly. We'll see how that works. If anything, that's put a bit more tension on it. So let's try that lever. Look at that. I think that'll be okay. Let's get a chain on. Okay, that's threaded through. So these chains are the pin that's sort of half hanging out. You basically just clip them together and then push it back through again. Like that. They're quite good. It still works, but it's just an issue if you ever want to take your chain off because they don't really like being split particularly. Okay, we're on. Let's do some gears. Just put it on the middle ring at the front. That works nicely. Let's try the big one while we're here. That's nice as well. We'll go back down to the middle ring, leave it there and we'll try the back gears. Right, so up 1 click. Slow, but it gets there. Up to the next one. Next one. That goes up, not bad. Look how much wobbles in here. And then back down. Sluggish, a little bit too much tension there. That's actually not bad at all for this. I was expecting worse. I'm just putting friction at the front to show you what that will do. So there's no indexing now, so you could basically feel yourself up a gear. Just fine tune it to get rid of the noise. And that's how you used to be before we got to indexing, obviously. You can still set the gear you want, it's just by ear really and by feel. Works fine. Lovely. So again, these are very, very tight for this brake cable. I think I'll get it in, but it's a squeeze. I'll try with some lube, see if we can get them in. And lubrication always helps, right? Let's see if we can get this in. Yeah, that's going. I'll try and straighten these out a bit. There you go. Look like weird. I don't like this plastic thing. It gets in the way sometimes when you're trying to get into a tight angle. This reduces the angle of attack really. I don't really like them. I've seen several broken balls on wear at Allen keys, not by myself but by other people, especially on the smaller sizes. Stick with Weeha. Alright, we're in. That was tight. Clean the grease off, let's keep it nice and clean. It's in immaculate condition. So this needs to get down to here. Just pull a bit more cable through. I think this fits in here, that'll be a problem. Again, you've got no chance of getting an end cap on this. I can barely get the cable in there, so that's just how they designed it. Alright. That goes in there. Good. Now we're getting somewhere. Get a brake cable. That's in. Check the lever. It feels pretty nice. We're just going to connect the straddle to this. This is the old straddle bridge that I took off. It's just 2 nuts there. Just undo those, take the rubbish piece out. First of all, I'm going to get these pads somewhere near where they should be on the rim. Just going to take these springs off just to make it easier. That's where they're going to be. They almost line up. Well, this one doesn't. I think this is one of the front brakes I put on the back, but never mind. Let's just tweak that over. Right. I'll need a bit of a toe in a minute, but I'll do that later. Use this old-fashioned third hand. Basically, again, it just presses the pads onto the rim like that and sets the straddle cable basically where we want it to. The straddle's way too long because by the time we hit that there, we're going to run out of travel. So we need to pull this through a bit. Right, so I'll set this to something reasonable, which would be about there. You don't want it touching the bracket. Obviously, you want enough clearance so when you pull the cable, it's not going to hit the frame. So we're about there. Okay, that bridge. Right, let's thread this cable through the back. Almost there on this bike. I can almost taste the beer. Hook that onto the actual cable itself, the straddle cable. So we're going to be somewhere like, somewhere about there. It's going to need a fine tune. I've got a barrel adjuster on the brake lever. Right, let's try that. Take this off first. Put the springs back on. Mega strong these springs are. Alright, let's go for a squeeze. Not too bad actually. I'm going to work for 40-year-old cantilevers on the flexible frame. See this frame flexing every time I do that massively. That's all that basically, that's engaged. And this travel here is a flex in the seat stay. It's bowing out every time I put the brakes on. Just tying this cable up. I'll probably trim this down a bit because it doesn't need to be anywhere near that long. Let's get these on. I'm going to move that away because it'll make an annoying noise every time. Just drop it into the top of that straddle. Right, this wheel's like far from straight, so right, it's got a bit of a buckle in it to say the least, but I think the chances of straightening that, I'll give it a go, but very rough and ready true here. We're going to try and tighten, well, it's actually moving. Tighten these over to pull that dent out a bit. Another one there. This is not how you true a wheel, this is how you get it to clear the brakes. On the reflector now. Quite often when you put these reflectors on, it puts more tension on these 2 spokes at the back and bends the wheel, basically buckles the wheel, so quite often you find that is actually buckling it. I don't want to break them because they're original. That'll do. So because we don't have a piece of cable that goes from here to here, we have one that went from there to there, we're going to use the old rear brake cable to measure up a suitable length. So that goes in there. We want it to basically just go to the top of the stem there. Doesn't need to be too long. We're kind of about there. I'll cut this old piece first just to try it. Right, that's fine. I've cut a new piece. I'll put an end cap on this and it still fits great. Just put that into the lever. And then we're just going to repeat the same new brake cable on there. Hook down to the straddle. We are going to change the straddle cable first though because it's frayed. However, we might be able to chop it down to avoid that, but I don't think so. No, we're going to change the straddle cable. It's a bit tight, this one. So we're going to go into this century and we're going to use one of these clamps here. Same job. Right, I'll just clamp that on there like that, just makes it a lot easier. And through the stem. Like so. Right, so I've just spent half an hour looking for this and realised the bike didn't actually come with one, so I found another one. Oh my god. Just nip this up again. Don't put too much tension on it because basically we want some slack in the lever, obviously. Right, let's just put these springs on and see how that feels. See, not too bad at all. Just got to straighten this pad out because it's miles away from where it should be. Right, so what I need to do is drop this 10mm off here and spin it around on there and get it somewhere near. It's got a big toe on there at the moment. There's a lot of adjustment in these, so there needs to be sometimes. So all this thing here will pivot around here like this, so that's the adjustment you've got to get the toe right. It's about there. So they're going to be absolutely dreadful brakes anyway, so don't get too excited. So that's about right there. Now we just need to tighten it without it slipping again. Like that. Okay, that's good. There we go, look at that, perfect. Just tighten this headset ever so slightly. Got ya. Good. Brakes actually feel plausible. Gears we know sort of work. We've got friction available anyway. So the only thing left to do now is go for a ride. Beautiful. No issues here. Well, these old canties, beautiful. It's actually pretty good, this is. Back in the day. So it's a bit windy today, sorry. Look at this, it's flying. Didn't slip gear there, honestly. It's perfect. Oh dear. Not happy on that sprocket. Might have to go to friction. So, made it. Actually really good, to be fair. Pretty decent bike, and best bit of hell, no one's going to nick this thing. I can leave it lying around anywhere. Alright, I'm going for a pint. See you in a bit. What the f